Today we got another video today. I'm going to be reacting to yet another couple of videos. Nothing too particular. I'm just saying anything that just catches my attention. We're just going to go with it, right?
Prove it! Prove it! Where's your evidence? Siraj, I'm having a conversation.
I'm asking again.
Oh, okay. So I've seen this video before.
Why you got three persons, but the God of Jesus
let's
only
just go
one
and find
person?
some day and talk to
Why
them.
you
A few moments later.
Investigated by peer reviewed.
And what's this original sin?
So original sin is the result of the fall of Adam and Eve as a result of rebelling against God by eating the fruit of the tree.
Where did Jesus teach this?
Does Jesus have to teach it?
Where did Jesus teach this?
Wait, 1 second, can I just point out, because Hamza's, I'm having...
Okay, so normally these individuals do what is apologetics, where they defend each other's faiths. Yeah, so this person, Hamza, I've known about him like last year. That's the only time I really got exposed to this type of content. This person really just banks on silent arguments. If it's not written, therefore it's not dogmatic. But there's a lot of things where within Islam particularly, because watching a lot of these videos, you can actually absorb a whole lot. Tawheed is not listed in the Quran itself, and therefore Muhammad doesn't teach it, but you can see inclinationism, something with the Trinity. It's not by verbatim. You know, this person banks heavily compared to every other person. It really hinges on the fact that if it's not there, therefore it's not supposed to be like taught dogmatically, doctrinally, or it's a fact of a matter. Yeah, which is fallacious by
That anything you believe, you've got to show it in Jesus' own words.
Yep.
But the point is, if you ask him to show us very clearly the Shahada in the Quran, where Allah says you've got to say this exact
Or
formula
Tawheed.
to become a Muslim, he can't. If
can't.
you ask him to
Ask him
show
what the
you,
Shahada has
to
to do
show
with my
you,
question.
show you. No, but my point is, there's
Ask him what my
double
question is.
standard that he's
We can
created.
come back to this.
Yeah.
Alright, so
But
yeah, you can do it, and I can do it, but I only care that you can do it. It's a double standard. He's right on that.
point
So
is,
Jesus
don't.
didn't teach
So
original sin.
no, you don't. You
So
know,
Jesus didn't teach
it's a false logic.
So
It's
Jesus
a
didn't
false
teach
logic
original
he's
sin.
using. It's a false logic he's using.
So Jesus didn't teach original sin. Is that what you
It's a
said?
false logic. He doesn't have to.
So he doesn't.
No, he didn't have to explicitly say it.
Yeah, he didn't.
Okay. And so who did?
The Apostle Paul.
All right. And why
Yep.
do you believe Paul is a reliable source of information?
Because
Okay, throw it back at him. If we're gonna do double standards, why is Muhammad a valuable witness or any of his followers? We're comparing people who actually live, breathe, ate, did stuff with the man himself, which is Christ Jesus, versus somebody who has no relation towards him. Why is Muhammad credible? If we're gonna ask each other questions and not actually give a solid answer, what's up with these double standards?
Why?
they still
Why
end
would
up
they
capturing
think?
him.
Why would they think he needed to take the Nazarite vow?
shall we just
He
pull
just
it out?
explained it
Shall we
to
just go
him.
to the passage?
Well, what else are you trying to reach for?
Because it was in conflict.
Yeah.
What was
with the
Paul
Mosaic
doing? What was
law.
Paul doing? that
Because
put
they
him
were
in danger?
listening to the Pharisees, and the Pharisees were leading.
It was a lie and a
Pharisees.
slur against Paul, Hamza.
Okay.
It was a lie and a slur
was
against
Paul not-
Paul, Hamza.
So the, in fact, the
It was a lie and a slur
accusation-
against Paul.
the
Yes,
accusation-
an
I
accusation.
want to hear what you
So
Yeah.
the accusation against Paul.
Just don't let him dominate, bro.
So the accusation against Paul was that he was teaching Jews they're no longer justified by the law. That was the accusation, and he was told to take the Nazarite vow that there's no truth in what they're saying, that you are obedient to the law.
Yes.
Agreed? So that's why he was told to do this thing. Now, was Paul teaching Jews they were no longer justified by the law?
He was teaching. Are you talking about Galatians and Ephesians? Who is he talking to?
Was he talking? Was
Who is
teaching-
he talking to?
Was he teaching this?
In the letter.
Yeah, he's not being specific. Okay, so one thing I really do notice is that there's an actually interesting thing with the human psyche. If you actually just let people talk, it reveals a lot about themselves, and particularly with this individual. There's a bunch of them, like Muhammad Hijab and all these other dudes. What they do is they use the same belief and deception that they're under onto other people. Hamza here actually banks on, if you don't know the historical context, the context within the scriptures, what does it refer to? He's waiting for them to be not as knowledgeable because he's going to abuse that. In the same sense that he is that same position. He doesn't know his scriptures, especially the historic context, to such a degree that because of that, people have taken advantage. Therefore, he believes in Islam. And so since he knows that it works, profoundly speaking, he's also doing the same thing to somebody who is not as knowledgeable compared to Bob. This guy's a savage. I think he's a Catholic, part ecumenical. I don't really see him expressing Roman Catholicism, so he might be like somebody. All I've seen is this guy debate. I don't really watch Bob's content exclusively. I think he just purely does this, but it's obviously the difference between somebody who is experienced versus somebody who's not, and somebody who is trying to take advantage of that. That's why when he's asking him this question, he's not responding to this person who is asking to specify, because he knows how to answer each question with full exposition. And he's trying to bank on the fact that this person, the younger, less knowledgeable one, doesn't, so he can take full advantage of it.
So in Galatians 3:10, that's not what he's saying.
Ha! Got him. Because Galatians was written to a Gentile church. So they went through votive offerings. And so what they did in essence...
Yeah, you can tell that this guy could care less. Like, he is not paying attention. He could care less. He only wants to elaborate his trap, like set it up for the younger person to fall in, because obviously... Bob here knows the context to such a great extent. I really have to study Galatians a little bit more in depth, because that requires a lot of historical context, just as the rest of the letters. But here he's just like, yeah, I don't like this answer. I'm just waiting for you to done so I can assert this incorrect implication or incorrect assessment. What I think it means, eisegesis, basically.
Was a kind of paganized Judaism. The thought that we have to do these sort of works of the law to satiate the God of Israel.
Kabbalism.
Yeah, Kabbalism. And Paul...
So he wasn't speaking to
No. Yes, he wasn't. He was speaking to Gentiles. He was speaking to Gentiles. So you've been lying all this time, haven't you, Hamza? You've been lying all this time.
I'm gonna say he's lying. He's just being very disingenuous, which is like obvious.
You've been lying to people, haven't you, Hamza?
When he's speaking to those under the law, who's he talking to?
He's talking to these...
This answer was already questioned like 3 times already, and he wants a different answer. That's essentially it.
So who's the us? The us is the church.
Speaking to those under the law.
The us is the church.
No, he's speaking to those under the law.
No, the us is the church.
It starts off.
The us is the church.
All this build up for this,
The us
dude.
is the church.
I'll say it again to you. I just read it in chapter 10.
Yes.
He's talking to those who rely on the works of the law. Who relies on the works of the law?
The Galatian church was relying on the
No,
works
no,
of the law.
not at all.
You're lying.
Let me
You're
read
lying.
it.
It is a
I'm just
Jewish...
reading the- You said the Bible.
No, because you're reading Galatians
Right.
out of
For all
context.
who rely on the works of the law.
You're reading
are under a
Galatians out of
curse.
context.
So he's referring to them. And then Paul says, clearly no one who relies on the law is justified before God. Yeah? Okay. Then he says the law is not based on faith. We did that, but where was we up to?
It's funny because he's reading it, but like this is a classic clear example that it doesn't matter how many times you read something over and over again. If you choose what you want to believe and don't believe, you're not going to get the full scope. How many times has he read that you are not justified by works? It's not dismantling or dissuading people from, doing good works. It's just saying if you're banking on the fact that it's going to please God, you cannot. It's only faith that pleases God. You can find that in Hebrews 11. Let me actually find that real quick. Here it is. Hebrews 11, and it's basically in verse 6. This whole entire chapter is literally insisting faith multiple times. But here it is. But without faith, it is impossible to please him. For he that cometh to God must believe that he is, and that he is a rewarder of them that diligently seek him. So if we are under the assumption, just like in Galatians, what this gentleman here is talking about, that if you're thinking that works pleases God, it doesn't. It's actually the faith that pleases God. So it's not saying don't do works or condemn it or this and all that. It's literally saying that it doesn't justify you. It's actually faith, and it's that same faith that pleases God. It's not convoluted. But apparently this guy likes to stretch whatever he's posing here.
For instance, N.T. Wright. N.T. Wright.
Show me.
Okay, N.T. Wright,
All
who
you
is
need
a
to do
biblical
is show me.
scholar, says that Galatians is written to a Gentile church.
Show me where.
Dr.
those Gentiles
James
are
White,
Judaism.
who is a biblical
Show me.
scholar, says that Galatians is written to
Show
a
me.
Gentile
Show
church.
me.
Dr. Bart
You don't think he's
Ehrman
reliable, man.
says that Galatians
believe the
is
Bible's
written
reliable.
to a Gentile church. Dr. Metzger says that Galatians is written to a Gentile church. So you've got all those biblical scholars and then you've got Hamza. Who are you going to believe? So now we've established
Okay.
that scholarship
No, you made a claim. Show
weighs
me
against you.
Oh, show me.
So weighs
Show me.
against
Show me what
you.
you've just said.
Weighs against
Show me
you.
what you've just said,
We'll
that
come
the-
to it.
that these Gentiles
We
have
come
become
to it.
Judaism.
We
Show
will
me.
come to it.
Judaizing.
We will come to it.
Show me.
We will come
Why
to it.
didn't Paul say, I'm not doing that?
No. He doesn't need
Why
to
did
jump
Nazarite
through your
vow?
hoops. Doesn't need to
Why
jump
did
through your
Nazarite
hoops.
vow?
No. Why didn't?
Yeah.
Why didn't?
And again,
Why didn't Muhammad in the Quran say pray 5 times a day?
Paul?
Why
Who is
didn't
Paul?
Muhammad in the
Who is
Quran
Paul?
give you an actual shahada?
Who is Paul?
Why didn't he? Why didn't he? No.
Who's
My
Paul?
point is.
Yeah,
that
I think we'll just end it there because this person is generally disingenuous. I actually enjoy it because I get a lot of valuable insight. I've seen these in the past. I don't remember exactly when, but this specifically, you see how he's using an example to dissuade from Paul teaching to abandon works of law, and then now he's taking away Paul's credibility. If Paul is so credible, why you're mentioning him at all? If you're changing your argument from this to that, so somebody in the background point that out, and right now this guy has no basis. He has no basis. He has no argument. He's assuming the text for what it's saying when it's not. He's putting words in there that's not there, like no longer. It never even says that. And furthermore, why even cite Paul as credible? And after he proved Bob here to prove that why Paul is credible, now they went to the argument, and since it didn't work, he calls back to the original. This guy isn't genuine. He just wants to argue just to argue. He wants to prove that his religion is true, which is a whole mess in itself, and it's just functionally not. So I think that's where I end the video. So yeah, it was quite enjoyable. But I'll continue what you're doing, and as always, take care and stay blessed.